Welcome to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I'm your host, Lisa Huff. Over the last 5 years, I've coached hundreds of hairstylists and beauty industry professionals, helping them work their dream schedules exclusively with their dream clientele and earn their dream income, all while fostering genuine connections and lifelong friendships inside the beauty industry. In this podcast, we dive deep into abundance, manifestation, business building strategies, and creating a life that you are truly proud of, both behind the chair and at home. Are you ready to embark on a journey of personal growth, success, and sisterhood? Then hit that subscribe button now and get ready to experience the pure magic of Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. Hi friends, welcome back to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I am here with Alicia for another L&L Chit-Chat. We originally wanted to do these quarterly, and we were going to do one a couple weeks ago, post our just weekly meeting, and honestly, we were so busy with the resource fair coming up, leading into launch. We were just like, okay, we can't do this. We got to scrap it. So we pushed it out a couple weeks. So if you've missed us on our quarterly little chit-chats, we're still here. We still plan to do these every so often. How are you doing, Leash?
I am good. It has been a really busy couple weeks, but it's been fun though. We've had a lot of fun things happening and coming up. So
Give
yeah, it's been
everyone an
good.
update on your life. Some Soul Tribe members care to know. I know how in California, give everyone like a little recap. I'm trying to think when of the last one we recorded. Like, was it
I
what
think I
time?
was in Washington still.
Okay.
So like towards the
So
beginning of
lots
the
has
year. So
changed.
yeah. So yeah, if you know me, I'm the traveling hairstylist and I've been living in an RV, but I'm still obviously doing the traveling hairstylist business, but we are down in California and my husband and I decided to take a little bit break from RV life. So we actually moved into a little rental house and it's actually been a really just refreshing, nice change of pace. Not that I don't love RV life, but it's not a forever thing. And we've been doing it for a year and a half at that point, and I think we've been enjoying the change and the coziness and the beautiful yard that I have here and open kitchen and
Yeah.
the little things you just don't always think about. I'm like, "Oh, this is so nice."
It has
So,
to feel surprisingly grounding to like be on a
yeah,
foundation and not on wheels. Like I know you love
I
that, and that
know.
is like honestly kind of you as a person. Like you are somebody that likes to move, that likes to
Mhm.
shake, but there has to be something like grounding and rooting about doing that. So I'm happy that you guys are getting
Yeah.
settled. And now, once you started talking, I was thinking about it. Yeah, the last time we recorded, I like was talking about potentially moving to Arizona. So
Oh
much
my
history.
gosh,
That's
yeah.
how long it's been.
Wow.
So, long story short, I didn't end up moving to Arizona. I had quite a processing period of time through all of that. We got some clarity. We decided to stay put in Illinois. We did still move. It was almost like the enticement of an out of state move started a conversation, which then made us really look at everything in our life. And it warmed up a little bit in Illinois. We were like, maybe we don't want to live in the desert, actually. My husband received a really great promotion at work, and we decided to just move about 10 minutes away, better school district for the kids. And so I have been, obviously, over the last 3-4 months, however long it's been getting settled in my new home. We did a massive patio project. Leisha knows I can't
Mhm.
stop
Ah,
talking
it's
about it. I
beautiful.
am obsessed with my backyard. So that's what's been
Yeah.
happening with me. That's what's been happening with you. So it's obviously been a long time coming, this little chit chat. So let's get into it. So
Yeah.
when we were first discussing doing this, like I said, truthfully, it was a couple weeks ago. I just can't even pretend like this isn't the case. And a couple weeks ago, something that was really relevant inside of Soul Tribe was we had a member jump into the mega group, the mega Marco Polo group. Those of you that are Soul Tribe members know what I'm talking about. Those of you that aren't, I'm probably speaking another language, but we communicate on Marco Polo, which is like a video app, almost like a Snapchat meets a group text message kind of thing, where you just kind of chit chat on videos. And someone chimed in. I'm not going to say her name, but obviously everyone in Soul Tribe who's listening will know who I'm talking about and her specifically. And I really, if you're listening, friend, want to commend you for this because I feel like
Mhm.
you were so brave in coming into the mega group and sharing this. But she basically was just like, guys, I'm struggling. Like, I'm struggling really bad. I'm not retaining my clients. There's no new clients coming in.
Mhm.
Money is tighter than it's ever been. I feel like I'm trying all the things. I feel like I'm doing all the things, and I'm just not seeing any, traction. And one, that's like so hard to do to jump into a group of nearly
Mhm.
100 people and like say that out loud. That's really hard to do. But what was really cool after that was seeing all of Soul Tribe. I mean, it turned into like a mini hot seat.
Yeah.
All of Soul Tribe freaking showed out and came up with such simple yet unique yet just really clear and decisive action that she can
Hmm.
start taking. So like what were some of your biggest takeaways, leading up to that? Obviously you were in the group, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, because I feel like a lot of people also came in and I think first just was like, I can relate to you on this, or I've been there right there with you on this. So I think just also it takes that one person just to be like vulnerable and open to then sometimes kind of realize like, oh, I actually kind of struggle with that too. Like
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of really glad we're having this conversation with everybody. So I do just want to add that too, because I think that that's usually how it goes. You just need that one person to be like brave
Yeah.
enough and just kind of open up and be vulnerable. But there's always other people who are
And
in
then the
that same boat with
floodgates
similar feelings.
let out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a lot of like good talk, and I think it was kind of like we had to really focus in on like, okay, what can we do today, right now, tomorrow? So I think just, if you're in that similar boat, it's also kind of like you can have all the things, feel things that feel like a problem or whatnot, but it is also kind of like tackle what you can do right now to
Yeah.
start making those small changes because then that can kind of snowball. So I think that was really insightful. But one of the things that came up that I thought was just really smart and such a
Mhm.
simple hack was somebody came in and talked about how they set different alarms for themselves throughout the day. So if you're someone who's always rushing in the morning, or you have maybe you have kids, you've got to like
Mhm.
run and do these things before you get to work, really kind of setting these different alarms like, okay, I need to be showered by this time. I need to have the kids dressed by this time. I need to pack all the lunches for me and everybody else by this time. This is
Yeah.
the time that I need to leave. This is like the, oh shit, I really need to leave time. Like
Yeah.
just these little alarms. So it's just kind of like that check-in in the morning.
Hmm.
And I just thought that was so smart and such a
Yeah.
simple little hack, especially if you're someone who gets distracted really
Yeah.
easily, or you just feel like you have a lot of, different things that you have to do in the morning and you want to stay on track, obviously, and on time.
Totally. And to backtrack that a little bit, kind of where the conversation went from this like initial like kind of cry for help was, people came in with really reasonable kind of what we're doing. Are you posting on social media? Are you asking your clients for reviews?
Hmm.
Are you asking for referrals? But I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying that. She's been on the podcast before. She jumped in and she said, here are two things you can do that are free. They take nearly no energy at all. Maybe you're already doing them, but I think all hairstylists need to hear this. Anybody probably needs to hear this because this is something we can slip on so easily. But the people who are
Hmm.
on it, it really, really works well for them and it will never steer you wrong. Chris was like, you can show up looking the part every single day. That's something that
Hmm.
so slowly slips away from us. Like it starts with like one cute messy bun, which then turns into a not so cute messy bun, which then turns into a pair of leggings, which then turns into just like whatever my clients know me and love me. I can show up however I want. But after months and months and sometimes years compile of that slow trickle effect, and you stop and someone holds a mirror up and says, wait, are you actually showing up like a beauty professional into this business?
Hmm.
Even if you think, oh, I don't have to, my clients love me, they know me, we have this comfort level. I want to say if your business is showing you otherwise, that was some tough love that I thought she shared really eloquently, really
Hmm.
nice. And then another thing she said is, are you showing up early? And the woman responded back, honestly, I'm a right on time kind of person, or I'm a maybe 5 minutes before my client if I'm lucky kind of person. And again, this is like a tough love kind of comment. We all need that reminder sometimes because it
Hmm.
starts with 30 minutes early, then what do I need to do for 30 minutes? Now I'm 15 minutes early, then before I know it, I'm walking in at the same time as my client. And I'll own it. Honestly, guys, yesterday I walked in at the same time as my client because I had a little one-on-one check-in call that I did before I left for work. And I turned on the light switch and the friggin' power was off at the salon. And I had my client there with me because we had bad storms. So, like, I'm not saying it to make anyone feel like crap, but also, like, if your business
Hmm.
is suffering right now, which the tone of the industry is kind of feeling like a lot of people are feeling that way, we've gotten so overachiever with everything and like we've done so many big beautiful things in our business that sometimes we just lose sight of the really simple
Hmm.
free there's no reason you can't do it tomorrow kind of things. And so then that conversation
Yeah.
then led into, well, it's hard for me to get there early because of this or because of this. And that's where Leisha was talking about that reminder of the alarms. We then talked about, okay, well, how are we spending our morning? Like, make sure you're waking up early,
Mhm.
envision what your day is going to look like. Set the intention for the day. Who do you want to show up like today? What do
Mhm.
if the day is smoothly, perfectly played out in front of you, what would that look like? Spend some time visualizing that. How do you show up? And I just think that reminder was so important and so needed
Mhm.
for so many people. Again, literally, like I said, myself included, I'm not judging anyone, but I definitely should not have walked in at the same time as my client yesterday because then I would have saw that the power was out and not have had that awful
Mhm.
situation. I mean, it's just real.
Yeah, and I think that even kind of adds into a form of us nurturing our current clients now, which is kind of, a lot of people talk about, how they're maybe just not getting as many new clients and focus on those clients you have now, because that is a form
You
of
have people
nurture. If
paying
you
you
are
right now. Yeah.
showing up to them and you are feeling refreshed and fueled, you're not rushing to get set up like that. That really does like make such a difference, I think, to a client's mind that they're gonna value that time because you are valuing that time. And again, I don't mean that to like sound like harsh that like if you're rushing in at the last minute but some people could take it like that they're like, "Oh, well, they don't value this enough to like be ready for me."
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it does just kind of take that really like kind of tough look at
Yeah.
yourself and your habits and what might be happening. And like one other thing that got shared too with like even just if you're someone who's struggling with the morning that I thought was really smart is she the person who came up with this problem also mentioned how sometimes she gets carried away with doom scrolling in the
Mm.
morning and that's like we all have that trouble
Get
like
it.
I
Uh-huh.
have been been there so many times and somebody else had a really great suggestion for that too, and kind of said that, you know, you reward yourself with doom scrolling by getting to work 30 minutes, 40
And
minutes early. You get set up and then you have 25 minutes to just sit there and doom scroll until
just
your
fits.
client gets there. Like
Yes.
that's so smart. That is
So
so
smart.
smart.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would just want to say this too because it just popped into my head. In the salon that I work at, there's a couple other girls, one being like my best friend Riley, and then we had another girl that was working there with us for a while. She's actually not there anymore. She got a full-time like corporate job, and I'm sure this is okay to share. It's really not a secret at all. She was notoriously late for her clients. I am
Mm,
someone, I'm not trying to pass judgment. If you're listening to this and you're like, shit, that's me, shit, that's me. It's okay. Again, I do it every once in a while, but I am somebody who's like, if I'm not 30 minutes early, I'm stressed out. Like I have to be
mhm,
not even 15 minutes. I like to be 30 minutes early. And I watched for years her clients come in and they would sit and then be like, she's not here yet. And they'd, sometimes even 5 minutes go by. Oh, she
mhm,
texted me to the point where it was almost just kind of like almost a slight running joke. Like, you
mm,
know how it is. She'll
yeah,
be here 5 minutes after your appointment. And as someone,
mhm,
let me just say, people who are in that position think my clients don't really care. Her clients loved her. They would have stuck with her. She got a different job. Clearly, her heart wasn't fully in it, but like they
mhm,
didn't care. They would make comments. They wouldn't say it to her because they don't want to make her feel like shit, but like, yes, people do care. I've had plenty of appointments, one person specifically, where I would go get my eyebrows done. She would run like 20, 40 minutes late. And there'd be other times where
mm,
I'm pre-booking my next appointment with somebody else because this is so
yeah,
frustrating. So we just make up stories, I think, sometimes to protect
yeah,
ourselves. And sometimes you just need someone to say it. And sometimes we need to hear it too, of just like, stop making
mhm,
excuses and telling yourself lies when you can be doing better and should be doing better. And don't be surprised when, your results are showing how,
mhm,
what the cause and effect kind of playing out of your actions. So this was our just little
yeah.
jolt of tough love
I
on that
wanna yeah.
reminder of how to combat it. Yeah.
Yeah, you bringing that up actually brought up a really similar point that I'll just throw in really quick.
Okay.
I had a stylist that I worked with at my last salon, and one of her clients that she did color on wanted to get extensions. So then I started doing her extensions. And I remember one time having a conversation with her, and I don't even remember how it started, but she told me, because like even if you're someone where like, well, I have my clients and they're fine with it, she was someone who was fine with like the stylist I work with was always late too, always running behind. Her appointments always took way longer than they needed to be. And so this client that we were both kind of working on mentioned to me one time, she was like, "Yeah, she's like, it doesn't bother me so much, but she's like, I really wouldn't refer anybody to her though, because like I
Mm,
wouldn't want to feel like almost like I'm putting
responsible
somebody
for
else
that.
in that position that they
Wow.
trusted my input. And that I just remember being like, oh, that's actually kind of interesting. And we moved on from it. But even just to that point, even if you are someone who are like, you have room for new clients and you have these clients who maybe do stick with you and maybe they genuinely are a little bit more lax about that, they may not be referring anybody to you though, and that could
Mhm.
still be kind of a slow problem in itself too. So just yeah, I was just
Yeah,
adding that in.
that's a great point, and that's just really interesting to hear someone say, "No, it's okay." Like I'm used to it, and honestly, like I said, I kind of have an eyebrow girl who does that, and it's okay. I just know to plan it. Don't
Mhm.
plan something right after because it's going to be at least 20 minutes, 20 to 40 minutes later than what you think you're going to get out because she's probably not going to start for at least 20 minutes after the appointment time. And I know that, but that is such a good point that they're not going to be out here shouting your names from the rooftops. And
Mhm.
again, that literally was part of the question. I'm not
Yeah.
receiving referrals. My clients notoriously don't refer, was the exact quote, you know?
Mhm.
So again, we just sometimes need, and I know you're probably listening to this friend, and I want to say again, I'm so proud of you for reaching out and for being brave enough because you don't know how many people are just doing those actions and too afraid to speak up and say it because they
Mhm.
know they're stuck in that rut. So even like you said, the little tweak of you could still doom scroll, just do it at the salon. Like we get it.
Yeah.
There's reasons you've gotten into these habits. We're not saying you have to totally like change overnight and become this like perfect version of yourself. Sometimes that's too hard to reach, so it feels like you can't change
Mhm.
anything. But sometimes those little tweaks help. So I think we should evolve that then into the conversation of, and just to again be transparent with you guys, Leisha and I were doing what we call our weekly L&L right before we hit record on this, and we were just touching base on all things Soul Tribe as we do every single Wednesday morning. And we were overviewing just kind of the stats from the last quarter and looking. This is going to, again, make more sense for people who are in Soul Tribe. If you're not listening, it's still fascinating, but this is going to make sense more for the people who are in Soul Tribe. And we were looking at the stats from last year and we were just kind of noticing certain people being a little bit less active. And this is something I've struggled with, from day one. I have always said I want Soul Tribe to be a tool. I don't want it to be a task. As someone who says, like, put your phone down, unplug, have white space. It's like such a fine line. But I think the person in Marco Polo that we're talking about was really a good example of like, sometimes if you're struggling, like all you need to do is reach out and ask for support, and you'd be
Mhm.
surprised how many other people are there, to give it and need it as well. And I think a lot of people, specifically right now, even in Soul Tribe, almost are so used to all this access at their fingertips that they just don't even like tap in and use it in the way that they could and should when they need it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in any aspect of this, if you're someone who's not in Soul Tribe,
Yeah.
it's really easy to just kind of like maybe you are in your salon, you have your salon team, and maybe you are seeking more, you need support. And it's really easy to just kind of like sit in that place
Mm,
without taking action. And but still you're gonna feel the same. If not, eventually maybe it compounds on itself.
it's
And
worse.
it really is just that initiative and action of if you need something, sometimes you have to take that first step. And if you do and you don't get what you're expecting, then maybe that's, maybe you need a change of scenery or you need to approach it a different way or just,
Mm,
but I think just it's so easy to kind of like sit in that place for a bit and be like, well, I could use more of this, or I wish I had this, or I want to feel more inspired. And then you just don't do anything.
mm,
And that's like, and and again, we've all been there. We've
yeah.
all like been in that place. But rather than waiting for something to like drop in your lap or come
Mhm.
to you or tell you what to do, I think so many times people are like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do have to just like decide that for ourselves. And I think that's where probably, I mean, I know for you, a lot of that is like your intuition leading you, but like sometimes it's just like take a step, even if it feels unsure. Like you have to kind of go somewhere with
You have
it
to
because you're just
initiate
gonna,
something.
yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
said this to Leisha too. Like some people will say, I just don't have the time for this right now. I'm overwhelmed.
Mhm.
It's summer break. My kids, I have so many things on my plate, which like just a moment of tough love. Like everyone has the same 24 hours a day. Like,
Mhm.
you're none of us are the only ones with really booked and busy and packed schedules and like overwhelmed. But Leisha, when I said that back to her, that's where people are at right now. She's like, well, I'm sorry, but like that's when people need to tap in. If that's how you're feeling,
Mhm.
like that is the sign that you need that like, and so again, for anyone listening to this, no matter where you are, there is a 90% chance that there's something festering somewhere in your brain where you know a change needs to be made, but you're stuck in the hamster wheel. You're stuck in the, monotony of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And this is just our reminder of like, something's got to change, and you can literally choose to do that at any time. So it's just
Mhm.
that reminder, that call for help, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's with your family, whether it's in Soul Tribe, like we are talking about, because that's our own little bubble, whether it's your, team at the salon. I can't tell you how many people, if I ask them right now, like, should your salon team have a come to Jesus moment and like discuss something that we're all just
Mhm.
kind of sweeping under the rug? Almost
Mhm.
always yes. So like it's just that continuous reminder. We just want to be that person in your ear of like, face the things that feel hard and feel complicated. Lean in if you need
Mhm.
help from other people. Just because you can't figure all the answers out by yourself in your head, sometimes communication
Mhm.
is just like step one in that. Sometimes you just need to say it out loud and someone else gets to help you piece it together, and then you have a ton of clarity after that.
Yeah. Yeah, because just like the first, example we were talking about with the Soul Train member,
Mhm.
I mean, you might be surprised what comes out of it, and there's no
Yeah.
reason to feel shame or confusion or feel like you have to come approach something with all the pieces together. And and that's why it was like so refreshing to have this member kind of come into the group and ask support and be very
Yeah.
real, because like that's what many of us need to kind of remember that we can utilize and do. And it's just, especially in our soul tribe group, you're going to be met with so much love and ideas
Yeah.
and inspiration. And
Yeah.
so yeah, tap into that.
Totally. Could not agree more. Okay. So when we were sitting down, I think that's kind of everything we wanted to say on that. I'm actually happy you were able to share that message with me, because Leisha was like, maybe you just need to get on a Facebook Live and just kind of like say that to everyone. I'm like, oh, that's so hard for me. I don't want to be like pestering or whatever, but there are literally so many resources that we work tirelessly behind the scenes to provide for people, to then hear like, oh, I wish we had this, or I wish we had this, or I could use some more support. And it's like, chances are you have so much support around you. You just need to tap into it and use it. So that's going to be my
Mhm.
with love little, tough love reminder for that. But then as we were talking about talking points for this, Leisha said, she actually shared this with me yesterday on a Marco Polo, that she saw a Instagram post that caught her attention from somebody she loves to follow. If you want to give her a shout out, you can, or
Mhm.
you don't have to. Someone she loves to follow shared a post about like, not having hobbies and your business being your only hobby isn't cute or something like that. Tell us what the post
Mhm.
was, and let's just kind of dive in. Because I have thoughts. She shared it with me, but I haven't shared my thoughts with her yet. So tell me.
Yeah. So I'll share, this is from Coach Anian on Instagram. She does some social media work and she was an extension educator, whatnot. But she posts really, I love her content. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
need a little inspiration, you should, that said, being obsessed with your job and having no hobby isn't cute. And I think the comments went in a really different direction than what honestly I would have expected, and I think what she expected. But there
Probably,
were
yeah.
comments that kind of almost were being met a little bit with, I don't like
Like people
negativity,
were
I guess.
triggered, maybe. People were triggered.
Yeah,
They felt
yeah.
called out and they didn't like that. So what were some of the comments that were on that?
Yeah, so there were some that, so this one was said, well, if your job is your, or what if your job is your favorite thing in the world? And saying that, I love what I do and I'm not going to stop loving it. And I think that I should be okay with that. People were saying that this kind of stings because I love what I do and I feel
Mm,
like it's so much of who I am and I love giving that to people.
uh-huh.
And this person said, I would be happy for the people who actually enjoy what they do and getting to do that as a job. So
I
those
need
are
to go look
kind
at
of
that
just,
post, because that is
it
wild. That
was
is not what I would
interesting.
have expected
I
either.
exactly. So that was just a handful. There's probably some more, but it was just, yeah, it was met in such a bizarre way I was not
Yeah.
expecting. And these are all like, these are hairstylists or beauty
Yeah.
industry people. And because I have to hard agree with what
Yeah.
her reel was about.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you would too. So, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
would love to just hear your initial thoughts
Okay,
on that.
so I would have to hard agree, but I also uber empathize with the commenter. So let me say this. I would say for many, 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 many years, I was grateful that and prided myself on
Mhm.
my hobby for a chunk of time, you guys, was solely business building. Like it
Mhm.
made me happier than anything else. It was what I thought about when I would fall asleep at night. It made me excited when I woke up in the morning. I empathize with people like that. And honestly, I'm a little envious that I've lost that fully because I
Mhm.
think that way of thinking, I'm curious to know like the demographic or what has happened of the people in those comments. I will tell you, which I've heard a lot of people say before, and I didn't think I was one of them, that only lasts for so long, until
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
business building gets hard, which it does eventually, and until your identity is so wrapped up in your career, and then things aren't perfect every second of the day, and you can literally like demolish your self-worth if that's the
Mhm.
only thing you have. So I will say, I can't tell you how many years when Ryan was traveling, the kids were young, during nap times, during whatever, I literally wouldn't watch TV. I would write blog posts, I would film content, I would like grow, 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 grow. So like I kind of get it. That is one
Mhm.
of my favorite hobbies, but now as I'm, this distinguished 31-year-old, I will tell you from my experience that only lasts so long, and when things get hard, it's going to be a lot trickier for you to navigate that when your business is no
Mhm.
longer doing so well. Then you stop and think, oh, well, the hobby that used to be so fun for me is now not giving me that, and I have nothing else to me. There's nothing else
Mhm.
behind the hairstylist. So now I'm this elder millennial that's gardening and doing all of my things to say, like, yeah, I mean, I'm not even mad at the people who comment that if that's the
Mhm.
season of life you're in, but maybe, maybe not. I think people will eventually learn it is definitely a healthier approach to have some more substance to you than just that, or you're left feeling,
Mhm.
then you're literally just at the whim of how well your business is doing. And
Yeah.
that's not fun. There has to be something more to that. Did you think that was the take I was gonna say or no?
But actually,
Uh-huh.
as you're saying that, I can really, really like understand that because I feel like I was always somebody who used to joke that I didn't have hobbies because my business was my life.
Yes.
And at the same time, though, I mean, I don't regret that because it did bring me to a huge piece of where I'm at. But I will say, like, I think one of the biggest realizations maybe of this is really when COVID happened
Yeah.
and you were kind of forced to be home. And I did really dive into a lot of strategic things, but there were only so much I could do.
Nice.
And I
Yeah.
remember
There's still
feeling literally
hours.
like a lost puppy dog in my house because my husband actually was still working during that time. He was still essential. And so I was like by myself and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, I literally am just sitting here. You can't go anywhere. And like, that was a big realization for me where I'm like, I need to find something fun. Like, what in the
Literally.
world? Like, this is not good. And so I definitely go through shifts where I
Mhm.
am very business focused and a little less hobby focused. But I will say that I don't think I would be here where I'm
Totally.
at today if I didn't have those like fun things that I got to do that completely took me out of my business,
Mm.
where you get these random pops of ideas or you get to be creative with something, and those start to like bleed into your business in a really
I agree.
positive way.
I agree.
So,
And I am so grateful
yeah.
we've had this like creative journey along the same time as each other. Like I feel like me and Leisha are both like experiencing, like really diving into creativity. She read The Creative Act. She recommended it to
Mhm.
me. We talked about it in the last podcast episode. When we get into our report, I'll share with you guys what I'm reading right now because I wholeheartedly agree. Being a business owner, I think you are an artist. Your art is your
Mhm.
business. That is what you create. Being a hairstylist, obviously, you're an artist. You're painting hair, you're cutting hair. Doing so many of these careers, I think, is like the ultimate form of creativity.
Mhm.
And I would be curious to hear from any of those people who commented on that how long their only hobby has been their business. Because from my experience, you can only do that for so long until you start
Yeah.
to need something to fuel the creativity, or you just hit a wall and you
Yeah.
drive yourself mad because there's no more inspiration anymore. There's no more, I don't know, anything kind of like fueling that fire. And it almost goes into like my
Mhm.
realization of like white space and why that's so important for me. And maybe this goes into then someone are always looking for someone else to give them the answer, where I am so to a
Yeah.
point intuitively when I know I just need to get quiet. I need to get some distance between me and my business, just mentally, energetically, and I need to pour myself into something else so that that can keep the inspiration flowing and it moving. I didn't even realize how full circle that was going to get, but I do
I
feel
know,
like
right?
that is
That
the
was
answer. Yeah.
that was so good, yeah. So, I would love to know, like, what's been, like, your favorite hobby lately? Has there been anything that's really been fueling that kinda, I
Yeah.
don't know, hobby,
I
white space
mean,
moment for you?
those of you that aren't following me closely on Instagram, I posted a video on Facebook too. I have gotten into gardening. So I literally wake up every single morning and I check my little green bean plants and I check my little radishes. So that's
Mhm.
definitely been mine, is just kind of my time out on the patio. We're going to go into the report. I've been reading a book. So I've been going out every single
Yeah.
morning and doing that. And that, for a little while there, Leash, I lost my sacred morning time. And it was between the
Mm.
move and between
Yeah.
the stress, it just wasn't naturally coming to me. And you guys know I don't force anything that isn't naturally coming to me. And I lost that. I mean, I still had it a little bit. I do my regular check and things I needed to do, but they weren't hitting like they used to.
Mhm.
It didn't leave me feeling as like inspired when I would wake up in the morning. And lately I have been. So right now for me, it is reading. It is my like gardening. It is my, I've been cooking a lot more in our new house.
Mm.
Leisha knows that. We had a
Yeah.
bad addiction with going out to eat. I've been cooking a lot more. And I mean, my hobbies right now too. My kids are on winter or on summer break. We are just also like getting all the sunshine, all the beach days, all the
Yeah.
pool days, all the everything that I can squeeze out because I just know how quickly it's over. So those are my hobbies right now. What are yours?
Yeah. Actually, some similar ones. I
Yeah.
feel like cooking a lot lately, and I enjoy cooking. I just never always put a lot of time into it sometimes, or I'd rather do something else. So, cooking for sure. My husband and I have been way more lately, just kind of like turning music on and like
Mhm.
singing and I don't know, like that's just our thing. We love
Little
music.
plug for Alicia's other
Yeah.
She has a
No.
podcast called Road Trip EP with her
Oh my
husband where they
gosh.
talk about music together. No, because that's always been one of your hobbies. And so I love that that has
Yeah.
been, you guys are just in it right now. Again, sometimes things flow,
Mhm.
sometimes they don't, but you guys are in that
Yeah.
season right now.
And I will say also baths, because as a coming from
Mm.
RV life, I don't have a bath, so I've been really enjoying just, like, having, like, just baths where I can get all the extra goody stuff. I get my book, I just, like, hang, so that's
How
been, like,
often are you taking baths right now?
I mean,
Nightly?
a few
Multiple
times
times a
a
week?
not
Okay.
nightly, like, a few times a week, yeah, a
Well,
few times a week, but I've really been making that, like and I think
an
just even going into
experience.
reading, this year I decided to read way less business books and just read way more for pleasure, and, like, the other week, I literally read an entire book in, like, a day and a half,
Insane.
and that
Yeah.
was so amazing to me, like, I haven't done that in so long, and so I know that doesn't maybe feel like the most crazy hobby, but, like, sometimes it's just that little switch of really turning your brain off and
Yeah.
I don't know, just
Yeah.
flowing.
Yeah,
I don't
going
know.
back to that post, I'm really curious. I would love to pick the brains. You know how I am. I
Mhm.
just so empathize for people in every
Mhm.
situation. So I just wonder where are they at right now, but I would love to know
Yeah.
how long people commenting that have been in business and
Yeah.
how they do during low slumps. Because for me, that is like my escape is what am I
Mhm.
outside of my business? What am I? And now it's Soul Tribe. It's not just the behind the chair business. What am I
Mhm.
outside of that? I'm a mom. What am I outside of a mom? Like, what am I, and
Mhm.
that is like where I find peace and what keeps me sane through entrepreneurship. Cause I feel like I think most people would eventually hit a point where they need to find that separation, or
Yeah.
it can be a downward spiral really quickly if that's all you have?
Yeah, and I mean it but that's also a tricky thing too, and not to take that in like a darker way, but it's also just like if you one day didn't have your business for whatever reason, whatever thing might happen, what are you left with? And that's like that's a scary place to be. Like you have to be so much more than your business. And I think that again, I think that just bleeds into all aspects of your life in such a positive way to
Yeah.
kind of pour back into yourself without feeling like you need an immediate gratification of
Mm.
like, I can make income from this. It's
Yes.
just the same of like, I was talking to someone in Soul Tribe just a few days ago, and she's really been into painting murals.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I hate that my entrepreneur mind wants to go into like, oh, can I turn this into a business? And I was like, don't do that. Like, this is like such a like free form, like just in thing that you are enjoying. This is a hobby. And I know like we all kind of have that spirit of like wanting to turn everything
But
into a
let it
business.
be that.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah, not everything needs to have any like, not everything needs to be bringing you more than
Income.
just the
Yeah.
gratitude of
Mm-hmm.
like enjoyment, you
Yeah.
know?
Just being in
Yeah,
a
I don't
present
know.
moment with that activity. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, such good topics we dove into. I'm
Yeah.
really glad. We went a little over on our L&L meeting. I'm like, shoot, are we gonna have to cancel our podcast episode again? But no, I'm glad we pulled it off. So I think we
Yeah.
should do our quarterly and for those of you that haven't listened to an L&L chit chat before, I totally copycatted this off of TikTok. I've seen a few TikToks about it, and it's REPORT. And the first R is reading, eating, playing, obsessing, recommending, and treat. And people just like make TikToks of it, like saying their favorite things. And I think it's a
Mhm.
fun little tidbit. And since we've done the few L&L chit chats, I always get polos about like the food that I say I'm eating or
Mhm.
whatever. So I know people kind of like this too. So I'm going to share mine and then you can go ahead and share yours. So my
Okay.
reading is The Artist's Way, which I wanted to mention many times as we were talking,
Mhm.
but I wanted to save it for the report. It is so good. It's by Julia Cameron, maybe that might be wrong. The Artist's Way by Julia something. And it's a 12-week course or challenge or something like that. Like the chapters are weeks and there'll be some reading and then there'll be some journal prompts and then there'll be
Mhm.
tasks and then a check-in at the end of every week. And part of doing this 12-week experience is you have to do the morning pages every single morning. The first thing when you wake up in the morning, you need to write 3 pages of long form journaling, just whatever comes to your
Mm.
mind. Even if you say, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, but you have to write 3 full pages every morning. And so I bought a new journal and it's big. So I have to write a lot in the morning, like to the
Oh my
point where my hand
gosh.
was cramping in the beginning. But I've been really enjoying that on my patio.
Mhm.
And then another thing she says is you have to like take yourself on an artist date once a week where it's like just you by yourself doing something
Mm.
just for fun, kind of what we've talked
Love
about.
that.
It's so good, which is
Uh,
like with
I need
book.
to
Yeah, it's a lot of like repeating what I already know and love, but it's really
yeah.
landing for what I need right now. So I'm
Mhm.
on week 4 of that right now, and it's really, really good. So I
Okay.
would highly recommend that. Eating, we've been doing tons of grilling out. Like I said, I've been doing tons of cooking. I put arugula on everything right now. I'm eating lots of grilled foods, I did a dinner the other day. I've been posting on my Instagram stories all my like fresh bread and red wine. I always joke that
Mm.
communion is my favorite food. I made this like pasta dish with burrata on it and hot honey, and you dip the bread in it. I mean, I've
Yeah.
really been like eating good.
Nice.
So I'd say grilling out and cooking at home. P was play. I put softball and baseball games, which technically now that we're recording that, the season's over, but that has been my entire summer. My both my
Mhm.
kids were in softball and baseball. They had tournaments, and that's where I've been spending like all of my time. Obsessing, I put finishing my backyard 2 weeks ago when we were still
Mm.
finishing it. Now I've just been obsessing over my
Yeah.
backyard and my patio and sitting out there and enjoying first thing in the morning, late at night with the lights on, fire on. It's been so good.
Oh, it's like dreamy out
Um,
there.
it's so good.
Mhm.
Recommending is pocketbooking your end of summer white space. And honestly, now that we're a few more weeks in, it might be too soon for that, but I'm just going to touch on pocketbooking real quick because I don't know if I ever have on the podcast.
Mm.
I do a lot of pocketbooking in the summer. I have for years, especially when I was behind the chair, a lot, a lot, a lot. Whenever I start to feel time poor, whenever I go to pre-book my next client and I'm like, shit, 6 weeks from now, my life is going to be so busy. Appointments are getting crowded, kids' summer activities. I had this moment a couple weeks ago and I was like, this summer is about to be over before I know it. I need to save some space just to have for mine so that it
Mm.
doesn't just get filled up by work things and other things and just, disappear. So I use Vigaro I just go into my Vagaro and I make personal chunks of time for myself and I call it pocket booking. And for me, it's a beach day with my kids, or it's, start late one morning so I can take a slow morning, or get off early so we can go to the movies or something like that.
Mm,
But I highly recommend pocket booking, especially through the end of
yeah.
the summer if you guys are parents. And then treat, I will say I can't stop drinking these cherry limeade poppies. They're so
Mm.
good. So that's my
I've never
treat.
had the Poppy brand, but I
I
see
know
them
you
all.
said you love Olipop, right?
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
like, I mean, I'm a sucker for a Sonic cherry limeade with like the
Mm.
crunch ice and the cherries and stuff in it. This flavor is really, really good and it's good for you. And so that's my treat lately.
Oh my gosh,
That's
love
me.
it.
Mhm.
All right, well, my report. So, reading, I'm actually reading a book that's just called The 90s. It's kind of just like literally all about the decade, like a documentary, but in book form. So,
Cool.
it's just been a really fun read. I mean, I'm a 90s child, so it's just fun. And eating, I had 2 things, and they're very different. So we've also been grilling a lot out. We just did,
Mhm.
like, burgers and corn on the cob and vegetables, I love that on the grill. And then I've also been eating, and it's the simplest thing, but just, like, Granny Smith apples dipped in peanut butter every single night. I
Yum.
just forget how
You
much I
use
love
like an
that
apple slicer
combination.
or what are you doing?
No, I just cut it up and then
Okay.
I have, like, the natural peanut butter because it's, like, more, like,
Mhm.
creamier,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, "Man, I forget this," like and it has to be a Granny
It
Smith apple for
slaps.
me. I
Yeah.
don't know, it really does. It's
I
like
love it.
I've literally had it every single night for, like, 2
That's
weeks.
your hyperfixation right now.
I
Okay.
don't know, yeah, I feel like I find these, like, sweet treat, like, fixations
Yeah.
every time lately, I don't know, but
Love it.
for play, I had concert. My husband and I just went to Angus and Julia Stone concert. It's like one of my favorite groups, and it was just so good. And I just love concerts and
I
like
remember
music.
when you booked
So,
that months ago and how excited
uh,
you were, so I'm glad you got to
I've been
experience
so
that.
excited. It was so, so good. Obsessing. I just recently discovered tubing mascara. I don't
Okay, that
know.
is hilarious. I have seen your polos about that.
Yes.
We were talking about the report. She's like, "Shoot, I don't have anything for obsessing." Then she's like, "Oh my God, yes, I do." And she wrote it down. I didn't know what you were gonna say. Tubing mascara. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. So fill me in the class in,
Okay.
would you?
I know, I'm like, if I've been missing out on something for years, is it new? I don't know, but it's just basically a different type of a mascara where it kind of tubes around your lashes, so
Okay.
it literally does not move. Like, I always have an issue, and I've spent so much money on, like,
Mm-hmm.
fancy, like, primers and mascaras, and I always would have this issue at the end of the day where I'm just like, it bleeds and smudges,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a real smiley person. I
Mm-hmm.
have my eyes definitely, like, I don't know. So I kept seeing people talk about this on TikTok, of course,
Okay.
and there's the Tarte brand, but they had a
Okay.
dupe, the
Okay.
Milani brand at Walmart. It's like
Okay.
$13. I went and got it, and the true test for me was a full day at work where it was like
Okay.
90 degrees.
Yes.
And when I looked in the mirror at the end of the day, I was like,
None.
stop. Like, there's no mascara literally anywhere. And I
You know,
know it
I'm getting
sounds
low
so
on my
dumb.
regular mascara, so I will be getting the Milani.
Yeah, no, it's amazing and it's so easy to put on. And so some people, I guess, don't like how it comes off because it's a little different. I actually think it's way easier to take off than other mascaras because you just get
So
some
does
warm
it come out
water.
like the clumps, like the tubes
Yes.
stay
Yeah.
intact?
It's
Interesting.
kind of funky, but like I mean, you just warm water and you could literally just like whoop, and it just is like all these little
I'm
it's
so excited to
interesting.
play with this.
But it's really good. I don't know. So
Okay.
I've been obsessed with it, and I feel like I can finally wear full mascara again because
Beautiful.
just would stop. But so yeah, that's my random obsessed. But
Love.
recommend, I have gratitude letters. So something that I did this year, I wanted to at the end of every month just write a very just simple gratitude letter and mail it to people because I
Mm,
feel like we don't ever get fun stuff in the mail anymore. And
yeah.
I don't know. So I've been doing that as just kind of like a little surprise and just a form of
Hmm.
gratitude. And it's just been really nice. It's like halfway through the year. So every time I send one, it's just always unexpected, and I always end
Yeah.
up getting a message back, and they're like, "I just needed that." It comes on like it
Uh-huh.
seems like it just comes on the right day. So
Love.
that's just been like a good little like feel good. And if you're someone who wants to just express gratitude in a different way,
Mhm.
I just pick a person, whatever feel I feel called to, and I just
Mhm.
write them a letter and send it in the mail, and that's it. And
I
it's
love
just a
that so
simple
much.
little, yeah, gratitude thing.
That's so good.
And then for treat, I feel like every once in a while you just need like a good dance party because like
Love.
my husband and I the other night we were listening to music literally like we had music videos on. Again, I'm such a
So fun.
90s person. We had
Mhm.
music videos on, music on loud, and we were just like being so goofy,
Oh,
like kids. It was
yeah.
such a like tap into your inner child and just like
Uh-huh.
have fun. And I just love nights like that. And sometimes you just
Yeah.
need those to just
Yeah.
I don't know,
Put
just
on
be
a
a kid
music. So,
again.
like, if we're getting on YouTube and we want some
Mhm.
music videos in the background, what are you recommending for the YouTube
I'm
playlists?
like a weird one to ask for that because I love, like, alternative and rock,
Uh-huh.
and that's just kind of our thing,
Uh-huh.
but I do also love a lot of, like I don't know, I mean, I
Whatever it is for you. Something with music videos. Because, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's slept on. I mean, I
Mhm.
play, my Alexa, I have to be quiet saying it so it doesn't go off, plays in
Mhm.
my kitchen. Every time I start cooking, I say, Alexa,
Mm.
play, there's Bliss Kitchen on Spotify. Love cooking.
Yeah.
And there's sauteing and slow dancing on Spotify.
Okay.
Those are like my cooking playlists. My kid, Skylar will always say she like loves, it's like old, almost like 60s
Uh-huh.
sometimes. And
Oh,
she loves that. It's
yeah,
just like, it feels good. It feels like you're in a movie.
yeah.
Soundtrack kind of music, but I never put on music videos. And I think that that's
Mhm.
a great little tip. And maybe next time I'm cleaning
Yeah.
the house and I'm ready for a cleaning dance party, I'll put on
Mhm.
that on the TV.
Well, and we've been doing a lot of Kings of Leon, so there's a lot of,
Okay.
like, fun, like, it's
Mhm.
easy songs to kinda sing, they're not, like, dance songs,
Yeah.
but, like, it's a good, like, easy going, so
Love.
there's my I would recommend Kings of Leon.
Love.
They
Okay,
have a new
that's
album.
amazing. I'm gonna think of you when I do that
Yeah.
next time. That's amazing. Okay, that was good. I'm so glad we
Yeah.
decided to hit record. We pushed this off. I think we probably did for a reason. I was a little bit stressed out
Yeah.
2 weeks ago when we were going to record this. So I'm glad that you guys got this energy of me instead of 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago. And just thank you, Leisha. I feel like we touched on all the things perfectly. I hope this landed exactly where and when
Yeah.
you guys need it when you're listening to this. And hopefully in just three
Yeah.
months we're gonna do this again. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was a good conversation, I
it
liked this one,
was.
so,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you for listening, friends. I will talk to you all next week. Bye.